There's a group called ACON, which stands for the AIDS Council of New South Wales, and they're an NGO or a body, I guess, which goes. They've gone way beyond their remit. So rather than just dealing with AIDS and the problems to do with that, they've become a very vocal trans lobby group. And they're actually pushing their message into Prime Minister's offices, government departments, universities, police departments and elsewhere. They've advised for Services Australia, which last month had the doozy of trying to change Medicare forms to say birthing parents. So all this gender politics stuff we see is because, wait for it, ACON is taxpayer funded. These taxpayer funded managers are having to score, the managers are taxpayer funded, they're having to score points while you have lobby groups like ACON telling them what to do. What do you make of it, James?
ACON provide advice framed as best practice on inclusion and diversity, but they only think about LGBTQ inclusion, and they ignore any conflicts with women or cultural or religious diversity. And so they claim to promote inclusion, but what they're really doing is embedding LGBTQ ideology in major corporations. Now, this is a particular problem when you get organisations like the ABC, a news organisation who the public trust to report in an unbiased fashion on some big issues right now, such as the safety, particularly relating to children, of gender transition therapy and so forth. And so the ABC, when they're reporting on LGBTQ issues, they should include a note just to let everybody know that they're signed up to ACON, and that represents a massive conflict of interest.
Alexandra?
Well, the government doesn't have any actual virtue, so they've outsourced their virtue to this box-ticking department. And that's all it really is. Instead of doing good for the community or making the right choices for employees, what the government does is say, well, we've adhered to all these check boxes that ACON has given us, therefore we're good, therefore, you should praise us as a great government. But really, people are getting poorer, their decisions are ruining the economy and trashing our society, but they can say they're virtuous and they've done the right thing.
Well, Andrew, you run an outfit, CPAC. Imagine if you could just knock on the ABC's doors or any government offices or all these different bureaucracies and say, OK, I'm here from CPAC, here's my checklist, here's what you've got to do to satisfy my lobby group. It doesn't work that way, does it?
No, it doesn't work that way, Rowan. It's like with a lot of these issues, you've got to follow the money, right? And that's exactly what's happening here. But essentially what we've got here is we've got an example of how fragile a nation we're becoming. We've got people that feel uncomfortable walking into toilets because of the name on the outside of the door. So they need their own special toilets with different names on the outside. And this just goes to how we've got this sort of attitude in society now that everyone's feelings must be accepted, we must be responsible for those feelings, and the way we solve this particular problem, these hurt feelings, is we create new toilets. And this sort of belief system and actions, it's just not sustainable. There's got to be an end to it at some point.
Absolutely. Well, let's move on to another joke of a job description. This is from the Northern Beaches Council staff. Have work time which is dedicated to, meditating, playing board games and learning recipes. Clearly no shortage of funds for this particular council, James.
You know, Rowan, local council used to be about roads, rates and rubbish. Now it's about roads, rates and rubbish, if we get time after we've had a self-actualisation session for our staff members. You used to get a fair day's pay for a fair day's job. Now you want a fair day's pay plus I want to play some board games, I want to work with some pot plants, I want to do some craft and art. It's ridiculous.
Alexandra, we don't have bean bags at The Spectator, do we? We don't have a room where James can sit there and we can have some pot plants going and some meditation, but maybe we should. I don't know, maybe that's the future. But seriously, James mentioned rubbish. There's a lot of rubbish involved in this particular scheme, I would have thought.
What I love is they complain about being bullied and harassed. Well, if they were actually doing work, they wouldn't have so much time on their hands to be doing this sort of thing. If they were busy and got some work done, then I'm sure they'd have a better work environment. Exactly.
Andrew, councils like this, they would argue, of course, that they want the staff to feel comfortable and relaxed. But at what point, should the taxpayer put their foot down and say, or the ratespayer rather, say, come on, this is not the job that we expect you to do? Or maybe in the Northern Beaches they do, I don't know.
Yeah, maybe they do. But if you read through the article, the people's representative, the council that's asking the questions, the councillor that's asking the questions, he's being stymied. He can't get the information that he wants from the administrators, from the bureaucrats. And if you read further through the article, you can see that the bureaucrats, the administration and the bureaucracy of the council has a bullying problem. And the management of that council is in charge of that bullying problem. And the way that they've solved it is by bringing in these sort of paid party playtime sessions. And
so you reward the bullies. You reward the bullies with more beanbags and pot plants. Fantastic. Now, Andrew, before we go...
Spot on, Rowan. Spot on.
Before we go, you're in charge, Andrew, of the Australian branch of CPAC, the Conservative conference here every year. I was very privileged to attend the first one. That was the one where Christina Keneally managed to be the best advertising ever for your conference. She complained about you in Parliament, and you were a sellout, as I hope you will be this time as well. And of course, it was that led directly to Mark Dreyfus basically trying to accuse Tony Abbott of being a foreign spy or whatever. So, Andrew, you clearly know how to rattle the lovies and rattle the lefties. Now, this is great news. Now, CPAC this year, October 1st and 2nd, I urge people to get their tickets, go onto your website. It was going to be at Luna Park. We now hear, for whatever reasons, Luna Park have said no thank you. So maybe Luna Park is now lefty Luna Park. Sounds like it to me. But tell us some of the people we've got coming to CPAC and when you will be able to announce the venue.
Yeah, so we have left the lunatics at Luna Park. Sorry, did I say that? The other venue, and we're talking to 3 major venues in Sydney. That'll be one of the major venues. And look, Luna Park was supposed to be a family-friendly location because that's what our members want. They want to bring their kids along to sort of counter the education that their kids are receiving at school. But it is an older venue, so we'll go to a newer, more upmarket venue. And
so just
we'll
quickly, before, just tell us...
What I can announce...
Yep, go ahead.
Yep. Before I can announce that Tony Abbott is definitely attending and speaking at CPAC. We've got Zuby, one of your guests from a week or so ago.
Yep.
Rowan Dean, one of your guests on Sunday. We've got a whole bunch of speakers from the US, former Attorney General in the Trump administration, Matt Whitaker. We've got Mick Mulvaney, who's the former Chief of Staff of Donald Trump, Michael Schellenberger, and a bunch of others yet to be announced as well. So it's going to be a huge conference. It'll be double the size. Yeah.
Fantastic, Andrew. It's going to be a sensational conference. There may even be some outsiders type people there. You never know your luck. Looking forward to it very, very much. Alexandra, James and Andrew, thanks so much for coming on the show this evening.